Good afternoon. This panel is about how to talk to foreign investors. At least in our experience, there are some great companies in Ukraine at the top level that are aware how to talk to and speak to international investors. But a lot of companies that we encounter are not used to dealing with the transparency, with the corporate governance, with the style or the information that international investors want to receive. Ukraine today is competing in the world with all other capital. To us, at least, it's a great opportunity, but also there's other opportunities around the world. So it is key to be able to present yourself, a company, small, medium, or large, in the best possible light. There's a saying that there's only one time for a first impression, and that has to be captured when companies, whatever the size, are meeting investors. We're fortunate to have a great panel today. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves and their companies. But these are people that deal with this on the investor side, on the advising side, on a regular basis. So, please, take over.
Hello to all. I am Olga Ivanova. I welcome everyone here in this. I represent the Senior Experts Service from Germany. I am from the David Capital Fund, and I rule the funds provided by those. I'm Vladimir Andriyenko. I'm managing partner at an investment American company. It's a global company managing about 13 billion. We have had an office in Kiev during 20 years. I'm Andriy Panchenko. Also, we are a large auditors and consulting company in Ukraine since 1993. We have about 180,000 consultants, and we cover almost every country, every part of the world.
So let me start with a simple question. What is the biggest issue that you see when you're advising your clients, when you're receiving investors that want to present to you about investment opportunities in Ukraine? If we can go in this order, that would be great.
As I already mentioned, I represent a German economic fund, a Senior Expert Service. Our fund conducts development programs for small and medium-sized businesses in Ukraine. We are also a leading organization in Europe that appoints experts for business trips to developing and emerging markets, countries. In Odessa, we've been represented since 2012, and generally in Ukraine since 1989. All our experts have been selected by the Ministry of International Cooperation in Germany. We are also working under the German government and large German manufacturers. Our fund conducts the following activities. First of all, we provide educational services. We improve personnel qualifications. We provide training. We provide help for self-help based on specific issues presented by the customer in technical areas, in economic areas, in administrative areas. Our experts have impressive careers in their experiences. They've been managers, leading chief figures in their manufacturing or enterprises or organizations. In the world, we have conducted 38,000 projects, and in Ukraine, we had 355 projects. The success of an enterprise depends on the better quality of communication between professionals. When professionals get retired, we cannot compare them with the retired people in Ukraine. Those retired people are active and willing to help, willing to share their experience, willing to share what they have learned. When they work on projects, not only in developing economies, but also in Germany. Germany is known as a rather strong economy in the EU, and we keep in touch with the large German concerns, and the small and medium-sized business also take an important part in the economy, and our experts are able to help those small and medium-sized businesses on a free of charge basis, because our experts actually work on a volunteering basis. So this is a super proposal for Ukrainian small and medium-sized limited budget manufacturers and other organizations, because they cannot afford getting a leading Western professional or expert to consult them. Our top areas are improving qualifications of managers and personnel, developing marketing strategies and sales strategies, optimizing technological processes, improving environment protection and quality management, the overall modernization of the enterprise. The key phase is education, because people are the capital. In Germany, they are the capital. If they come to Ukraine and educate Ukrainian managers and Ukrainian personnel, they will grow too, and it will be a kind of growth for both sides. If we consider the branches of economy, we see that about half of the projects were in the economic areas, then another quarter is in education, then agriculture and other development. Who can be the customer? These may be private and state-owned enterprises, educational facilities, vocational training facilities, municipal bodies, healthcare bodies, and non-governmental organizations. For instance, a Ukrainian entrepreneur would be able to make an agreement with the senior expert service for conducting a project, and we select an expert that does not enter an agreement with the customer, but is appointed by our service. There is a questionnaire for about 3 pages, and it is important to explain as specifically as possible and the profile of the expert needed. The more detail is provided, the more specific the details are, the easier it will be to find the suitable expert. You can talk with him over Skype or through correspondence with such an expert. The expert's allocation time is about 2 weeks, and the expert is very responsible in his relation to the project. It is a non-commercial work, and after the expert has finished the work, we receive a catalog of events, of measures that have to be taken to achieve the goal in this or that project. We've conducted 355 projects in education, food production, trade, and services. Some of the examples include a window profile processing factory. An expert also attended the plant. This is about meat processing factory that wanted to increase their quality and get ready for certification. This example concerns vocational training facilities. It was a floristics course. Also, we worked with the cookers and hairdressers. This is the bakery that seeked increasing their quality. And also the catering sector was very popular. After the project, we invite the customer to fill out the form on how they evaluate the improvement of factors that were considered. For instance, about 77% was the growth of the knowledge level of the personnel, and many other improvements were illustrated in figures. As to the customers' expenses, the actual consultancy work is free of charge, is volunteering. Project handling is taken by the fund. The search of an expert, the insurance, and in most cases, our fund will also pay for the flight of the expert, but the local dwelling, local catering, translation, and local transportation is covered by the customer. In Lvov, in Kiev, in Odessa, in Zaporozhye, and in Kharkov, we have our representations. These are our contact details. In Odessa, Tilman Guess is in Odessa. He's not here in this conference, but he will be glad to be helpful to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me ask a quick follow-up question. If you can give some specific examples one or two of the things that you encounter when you're dealing with the small and medium-sized enterprises?
А какие основные проблемы бывают, с которыми вы сталкивались при работе с малым и средним бизнесом? Here in Odessa, we've had about 12 projects on energy saving, on agriculture, on vocational training institutions, as well as catering industry. I will put our leaflets, information leaflets here. If you are interested, you will be able to have a look.
So this is the same question for me, right? Okay.
Arthur,
yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
I'll get the translator a few seconds late. Arthur has a lot of experience dealing and looking at projects. He can provide a first-hand information about how it is to deal with Ukrainian investors, small, medium, and large. Arthur?
Yeah, thanks.
Before I start, I would like to understand whether any entrepreneurs do attract or did attract investments, or any other representatives of administration interested in investment. Okay. When I spoke about the fund, we have about $3.5 million being managed, and we cover the whole community of independent states. We have representations in many countries. And in Ukraine, we started from the western area near the Polish border. What we are interested in is IT and agricultural sector. And speaking about challenges, when we talk with entrepreneurs or representatives of companies, it's first of all, we would like to meet companies that are prepared. This can be referred to as packing. Everything should be presented in an attractive form, in an attractive way. There are certain consultants that may be able to help with that. It is desirable to be able to clearly identify and demonstrate competitive advantages, because many cannot identify why they are better than any competitors. It's important to be able to say why the branch is attractive and why the company is attractive. As to the packing, the company is working with consultants, middle-sized companies may sometimes create certain barriers due to the situation that some do involve consultants and their prices grow, and some others do not involve consultants. Their prices are cheaper, but it is more difficult to deal with them. That's what I see.
If you could give us one tangible example, something you have encountered, that would be great.
Something bad or something
Well,
strange?
something that you encounter is strange, or something of a great company, maybe bad presentation, something with...
When an agency works with the company, they understand the specifics of the branch area. There are some branches with very, very specific attitude to state companies or state structures. I can say that in Ukraine, our recent meetings were leverage companies, and their reality was very, very different from what was expected, though the companies were interesting.
Thank you very much. Vladimir.
I will get back to your original question. What are main concerns in making the decision about investment in Ukraine today? The first of them is political stability, and the second is law application practice. All the rest is secondary. Хорошо. I can spend 24 hours more speaking about it. This was just in brief.
Good.
I'm a consultant who is, as was mentioned here, packing the company for presentation. Often, being a WC representative, I represent a company to a big buyer who may want to buy a share in a small company. The trend is that Ukrainian companies seeking for investors or seeking to sell their business come to us. Over the recent time, the 2 months, we've had 2 or 3 customers within the summer period when we had requests like this. And based on those requests and preparation of companies for sales or for attracting investors, we can identify what issues they have. First of all, it's not enough to have a limited liability company where the founder is a director. For investor, it is not an indicative factor. The investor wants to see the business plan, the historical perspective, the future outlook, and he wants to see how transparent the financial indicators of the companies are. Whether there are any loans, whether there are any obligations. We witnessed the situation when we represented interests of the buyer and the deal was lost after the checkup because the seller was not in agreement with our findings after we checked on his situation. Yet the seller was ready to fix all those issues. So anyway, preparation for attracting an investor should be taken much earlier than you contact that investor. Get external help to help pack the company, but it's important to understand who is on the opposite side with you in a negotiation. Do not miss the cultural aspect because investors may be different. It's good to have a common language, for instance, an investor from Ukraine or the CIS countries, the people from the same cultural field. It's more difficult when sellers have to talk to people from Japan, for instance, or Korea, China. Saudi Arabia, etc. These are all very different people with very, very different cultural roots and traditions in business conducting. Most of them may not be ready to buy a company or invest within a month, but it may take half a year. When you talk to representatives of Japanese companies, they may say yes about 10 times during the talk in English, but in the end it may be a no, because they will say yes because it is their culture, it is part of their culture. So don't forget the preparation regarding the cultural context. And this is what I would want to share. As long as we speak about basic aspects of attracting investors, you understand there are a lot of different investors and a lot of different sellers. Investor is not a buyer, he is a future partner. This is the first important difference. Investments can be different. They may be strategic. For instance, when Procter & Gamble enters an area, they might want to build a serious plant on production. And as to private equity, we buy partnership in the enterprise, we develop it, we capitalize it. We do not want to pass it over to our children, have them inherit it, because we just want to sell it and earn on it. We are a different investor. We are not strategic. We are having absolutely different interests. For instance, they may be referred to as multiple companies. It's important for us to earn on capitalization. And currently, when Ukraine does not allow for transferring dividends outside the country, for us it is not important because we earn on selling the business. The person should understand that investor is not a bank. We do not give loans. We are the most expensive in comparison to bank loans, because when you give away part of your property that you have cherished during 10 years of your life, it's much more expensive to you. But what we bring is expertise, what we bring is perspective, and you will be able to sell this business in 3 or 5 years. So for us, it is important to get rich with the company. This is another important aspect, is management. No matter how we get this package, it is participation in the management. The rule is simple. In real estate, the great importance is location, location, and location. And in our business, it is partner, partner, and partner. If we've got a good understanding at the starting point, we shall go on without any changes in the process and get to the successful end.
Thank you, Vladimir. I can tell you that I'm going to echo his statements. When we meet, especially private equity that in there with a firm for 3-5 years, the first thing that they ask is, who's the partner? Could the partner come okay after a check, a background check. Who is it? What is his history? That is number one. There is somebody that I have to deal with for the next 3, 4, 5 years. That is above everything. More important than price, more important than anything. The other thing, and that was mentioned, is the importance of being ready for investors. We advise companies, we tell them, there's two things you can do. You can wait until investors are here and get ready, or you can get ready, but the investors are not here yet. We advise them you can make two mistakes. If you wait until the investors come, it will take you months or years until you're ready. That's one mistake that you make. The second mistake that you can make is you do it too early. We advise our clients to start getting prepared, to prepare the right information, to focus on transparency, to focus on the annual reports, and to present a clear, concise view of the company, the strengths, the weaknesses of the company. If you're early for 6 months, that's a good problem to have. But when investors come, they want you to be ready. I think 2 or 3 of our panelists echo that. Arthur, what other thoughts do you have?
Other thoughts.
There is such a joke that then the marriages in the world, there is tendency to last for 3 to 4 years, and the cooperation and the partnership would last for 10 years. So our union is more complicated, is longer lasting than marriages. Maybe because we have a correct marriage contract in the very beginning. Yeah, true. It's difficult to say something extraordinary.
Do you have any questions?
Good afternoon. My name is Vladimir, co-consultant Odessa. I think it's not a secret that private equity in Ukraine is still the new combination of words for many. Why do you think? Why do you think that the private equity in Ukraine is not that popular as it should be? Is not very well used. It's terra incognita. It's unclear territory for the majority of the investors. Private equity, which was born in the beginning of 70s, now presents 100 billions or even trillions US, and the main drive in the development in the developed economies, developed markets, and developing markets. And this is the most effective mode of investment and development. And the incomes of the private equity is higher than the public markets. And of course, the rules of game should be different. It's coming back to my previous reference. The rules of game should be clear, and they shouldn't change. Look at China. It's not only the issue that this is the largest market in the world, and this is the peculiarity of the development of its economy. The huge amounts of private equity are being invested into the country. Though it's a quite close country, there's some limitations on internet, there is a huge list of limitations. However, they have very strict rules and very stable rules. Stable for years, nothing is changing. I finalized my previous speech that things shouldn't be changed during the process. And when the changes are too often and the conditions change, this is relevant for the whole post-Soviet area. Maybe Baltic states are an exemption. And as a result of this constant changes, private equity doesn't work properly. Yes, in Ukraine, of course, there is a great company, Horizon. Something is being done by Dragon, something is being done by Sigma Blazer, and that's it. I don't know to which extent it would be correct to make some parallels with the northern neighbor, but in fact there are also maybe just half a dozen of active funds which are really operational. And they say the problem is same, the situation is same, changing rules of game, and not everybody are ready to deal with it. Therefore, coming back to my previous statement, stability is the key. We all should understand when entering investments, you should exit it in the same conditions, with the same conditions.
Thank you very much. I hope it was helpful. And then we hope that a lot of investments come into Ukraine. Like the title says, New Ukraine. We are Empire State Capital. It's a brand new firm, started a year and a half ago. And we hope to build from the new Ukraine. So thank you very much. And thank you to our guests and panelists.